What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
Does your book, film, resource, product, or business change people's lives for the better? Hi, I'm Jackie Lappin, founder of Conscious Media Relations, a unique boutique PR firm that helps you connect with your mind, body, spirit, and conscious lifestyle audience in a big way. We reach 3,500 specialty media and all the key mainstream outlets in the United States. I invite you to explore our radio media tour that connects to 2,600 personal growth radio shows. There is just nothing else like it. Come check out our website and read our rave reviews.
The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm joined with Dr. Carmen Harra, who is the author of the international bestseller, The Karma Queen's Guide to Relationships. This book reveals the secrets of how to transform the karma in all your relationships with lovers, spouses, family and friends. If it's not working or if it's broken, there may be more here than you are aware of. Now, the Karma Queen's Guide to Relationships illustrates the small but mindful steps we must take each day to resolve our outstanding karma, from modifying behavior, evaluating self-love, and practicing exercises to purify energy. Now, miraculous relationships await when we eradicate the negative effects of the past and create new positive karma for an infinite joyful future. Dr. Carmen Harra, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited to have you on as well. Now, I remember when I researched this book a few weeks ago now, because you were due to come on a few weeks ago. I was like, this is really, really fascinating. Really interesting how you've combined karma, and your truth and your experience in relationships in this new book. Now, before we sort of get into the book as well, I just want to know a bit about yourself. Just tell me about yourself in the sense, did you have any sort of major spiritual influences in your life, or was there any sort of major influences that caused you to have an awoken experience? Because I believe you give readings as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do give readings, but I had a very interesting life, and I was born in the northern part of Transylvania in Romania, and I came to America right after the passing of my father. I used to be a very known singer in Europe, and at my father's funeral, I heard him speaking to me and telling me, "Look behind my grave. There's a name behind my grave, and you go into America," which was exactly the next day, "and you will meet a man with that name." So that's all I heard in my head. And people will probably think, well, that's not possible, it was your imagination. But guess what? I'm coming to America, and 3 days later, a man with that name behind my father's grave is looking for a singer in his restaurant in New York. So guess what? That man became my husband 3 weeks later. So how not to believe? And this was my spiritual awakening, and actually it happened even earlier, but that was a very powerful message. And I realized that there's something beyond the world of the physics. And of course, I was inspired by all the teaching, going back from Einstein, going back to all the teacher of the world, and I tried to embrace different concepts, different religion, different belief system. Because at the end of the day, we are all one. We all operate in unity in this world. And then, my life was interesting because of where I was coming from and exactly the road that I choose, which I am very happy about. And I learned about, as I said, the ancient teaching, and I try to bring them in modern form because the concept of karma is a very ancient concept. It goes back to the time of Buddhism, and it talks about the idea of the transmigration of the soul, the idea of action, thoughts, intention that translate into the memory of your soul. So karma is not only the Newtonian law of cause and effect, it's much more than that. And it's everything in this life. Is the foundation. It's actually the number one law of spirituality, talking about spirituality.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into what karma is. You've kind of answered it there a little bit as well, and I appreciate that for the audience. But just keeping on your backstory as well. So, so are you a sensitive? Are you a psychic?
The psyche, the psychic, is an ability of the brain that we all have. So we are all psychics. But the concept of psychic is very misunderstood. So I'm never using the word psychic because people think of psychics like those crooks sometimes at the corner of the street who pretend that they can predict your future, eventually scare you to give them money. So because the concept is misunderstood, but I really believe that we all have an ability that is called intuition that can be called the psychic mind. And I think I'm very, very intuitive. I'm extremely psychic because you cannot hear the voices or things in another dimension unless you have this ability to transcend the physics. But as I said, we all have it at a certain degree.
Right, absolutely. So just to get your background here, your spiritual background as well. So you believe that the soul continues after death. You believe yeah?
Oh, no, the soul goes beyond in the physical world, we're very trapped and limited by space and time. When the soul that is not material detaches from the physical realm, goes into what is considered to be the world of the continuous time, when there is no limitation of space, and you continue to exist. That's why we talk about the eternity and the world of God and a divine world out there, a world where we go into, and we all wish to be connected to the divine world because we are in an imperfect world. So we want to reach the perfection of the divine world. So I truly believe that there is a world out there where the spirit goes and unites with the collective consciousness that exists. And it's a beautiful world. I think I had a glimpse of this world because when I was 5 years old, I drowned. And I saw my body go into the water, and I saw myself going into a different direction. It's almost like the dissociation of the physical body
Ah, right.
happened for a second for me when I was 5 years old.
Right, you
And
had
I
it.
remember what I saw. And since then, I really understand that death is not painful at all. That is not a difficult process. And it's actually something that we should celebrate, like the new adventure, like something different, that when you finish your karma on earth, you need to go up there, for celebration. Unless you did something terribly wrong, you send back here to pay for it.
Wow, there is always that possibility. Okay, so yeah, and that's very interesting. Yeah, so you believe in the soul is eternal. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the soul is an energy. Energy never dies. Einstein used to say that energy converts into physics, into matter. So we come back if we have unfinished business, which is unfinished karma, unfinished memories, things that we never finalize. We kind of decide to come back in this low level of consciousness, because where we are right now, it's a very imperfect world that is characterized by a low level of the consciousness, not a high level of the self.
Yeah.
So I do believe that incarnation is a concept that Pythagoras talks 2,500 years ago, when he established the concept of time by establishing numerology and the concept of the transmigration of the soul. They work hand in hand. But yes, absolutely, the soul does come back.
Yeah.
And we travel through time and space, and we tend to come back when there's something we need to do here.
Do you think we reincarnate back through the work and the years that you've done this work? Do you think we reincarnate sometimes to meet up with soul groups, in the sense that we've chosen to meet particular people in our life, have particular
Absolutely.
situations happen?
Yeah, we come back to meet the people we never finalize something with. That's why I wrote the book, because I said that we have individual karma, collective karma, family karma. So we have connection with different kind of people, everybody coming in our life, including you coming in mine or me coming in yours. There's a bigger reason into it.
In this moment right now.
In this moment right now, there's a reason we resonate. There's a reason of talking about it, and it almost feels like, hey, we met before in England in a different time, probably the 17th century. You know what I mean?
Hey, you never know, do you? I'm very much up for that. That potentially we've had multiple lives. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in the fact that there's not only one life. And it's interesting, but all the teachers of the world talk about this. Buddha believes in incarnation. There are so many Buddhas. They seem to know 3 days before dying where they're going to incarnate.
Well, wasn't reincarnation taken out of the Christian teachings as well?
Yes, but then don't forget that Jesus Christ talks about him coming back, and that that John the Baptist is the incarnation of Elijah. He explained in his teaching that a child that is born blind is because of karma that is carried in the physical body, not because he's a sinner, because he's too young to do something wrong. He's just a baby, So when something like this happens, don't forget that Jesus spent 13 years in Tibet, and he was learning about the Buddhists and the ancient teaching to bring them into Christianity.
Yeah.
So I also believe that we're in a time in which Christianity is coming to an end to open door to a new religion.
Absolutely, and it's probably the religion of
From
ourselves.
2000 years to 2000, we have different religion and different belief system.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I just wanted to touch on all that because, even though that we've not barely scratched the surface with those subjects, if someone's new to this subject or just found this video, it's just building those tiny threads into then how karma works in relationships. And just a tiny bit of the bigger picture. Now, just for the audience again, just very quickly, or briefly, shall I say, just touch on karma again. What is karma in your opinion?
So karma is the foundation of spirituality, of the laws of the divine, the law of the universe. So in simple words, karma is your memory, the memory of your mind. Like when you're born, you come from a drop of DNA that carries memory and says everything about you. Then you're going to wear glasses, then you're going to be lighter hair or darker skin or whatever. Those are, characteristics that relate to your genetics, but in the same time, the DNA talks many things about you, and you carry the memory of something. Like, for instance, Einstein played the piano at 4 years old. How is that possible? He didn't even learn. So I speak French. I grew up in a Romanian family. I speak perfect French because in my prior life, I was a French singer. And I remember that clearly. I even remember where I lived. So it's interesting. A lot of people can say, I remember things that I don't know where I remember them. But bottom line, so memory of the soul, that's what karma is all about. And you can't ignore that because karma becomes in the end the totality and a reflection, a totality of your action, intention, thoughts, and translate into your reality. Yeah. Because you need to bring that karma to life, because you need to fix it, resolve it, understand it, translate it into your reality. Because that's what this is the way memory operates.
Right.
We operate on memory. So there are things that we need to do. That's why we talk about destiny. We are destined to do some things because they're part of the memory of the soul. Because the soul, before coming in the physical body, has a certain plan. A plan that you agree, like agreements, that you sign before coming in this world to come back here and do this and this and this, because those are the things that you never did before. So you have to finalize. Let's say you die and you left 3 kids behind. You want to come back and reunite with that family somehow, you know what I mean, in a way or another, to finalize the so-called karma that was left unhealed and unresolved for your soul.
Yes. So it could be that in this life, that what was your mother in your past life is maybe your brother in this life, and
exactly.
who was your father is maybe your mother. They change roles. Yeah.
It all depends what kind of a relationship you have with those people, because the way you treat you becomes your individual karma, creates your own memory towards yourself. The way you treat other people in your family becomes the family karma. And I look in my work as a therapist, for instance, how many people have problems in their family, fights between parents and children, husband and wife.
Oh, it's massive.
A constant conflict that exists within the family. So the problem becomes, isn't that a karmic situation that is created already, that we are in a conflict? I think the world carries karma, taking it globally. Not only we have individual family relationship karma, but we have a global karma. What it means, we create a certain memory. We started the war in the Middle East thousands and thousands of years ago. Now karma goes back where it started. Thousands of years later, we go back to the Middle East where we originated, establish a memory. Even the First World War, the Second World War originated the same area, in the same place, because karma goes back to where it was created. Right. You can't run away from karma. It's something that is a luggage that you carry with you, but you never lose it on a trip. It's with you, is attached to the soul.
Absolutely, and what you just really interesting stuff you're touching on here as well. When you're just going back to the family situation, because that's quite relatable as well. Where there's always, there can be in some families, a lot of distress in some sense. But to heal that, in a sense, it's the healing process sometimes. If you say to yourself, right, okay, this is destructive, this particular relationship, whatever it may be. If I try to come from love in that relationship, and I say to myself, okay, what would love do now? How would love, what would be love's answer in this particular conflict? Is that one way of healing a bad situation?
Absolutely. I mean, we used to say forever that what heals a bad karma, a bad situation, and a bad intention is responding to it with what? With love and with wisdom. Like Wayne Dyer used to say, the way people treat you is their karma. The way you respond is yours. And that was a big saying,
That's so true.
In history. So, your karma is the way you respond to the way you are treated. Because life is all the way you respond to the things that are happening. We might all respond differently. But the more you are at peace with the people around you, the more you try to avoid conflict, the better.
It's so difficult, though, isn't it? In the moment when it's so difficult, though, isn't it? In the moment when conflicts take.
Totally, I agree completely. Look at the world. Look at the world today. We are in such conflict with each other, And we question, why do you have so much cancer? Why do you have so many disorders, autoimmune disorders? Like the world has an autoimmune disorder, generally speaking, At every level of our being, we self-destruct. And we are at the crossroads right now. So we have to figure out, either we fix this heavy karma that we carry, all the memories that we carry, even the memories of the bad predictions that we've been told in the Bible, the end of the world, all this internally, we are having them there, like in our DNA. There's an imprint of the fear that something bad is going to happen to us in our time, in this time of evolution. So how can we heal all of that? And how can we break through all of that and go collectively into a different direction for humanity?
Well, maybe that healing takes place not by trying to change the world, but change yourself. Change yourself, and you change the people around you. Change the people around you, and it's a ripple effect.
You said it the most beautiful way. Everything starts with changing you and acknowledging your own action, who you are, why you are, and which would be the best way for you to have a healthy, fulfilling, and peaceful relationship with the people in your life. And then everything is going to change collectively. If everybody, one person at a time, will start thinking this way, we're not going to have wars, We're not going to fight with each other. We're not going to be in conflict with each other anymore. We'll accept each other.
And you will see that even though there's many different families out there, actually we all come from the same place. So actually we are all connected on a deeper level. We are all one. And why would you, even though they're not your family, why would you want to treat another the way that you wouldn't want to be treated? But that does come from, being consciously aware as well of your actions, and consciously wanting to come from peace as well, in a sense.
And if you're not conscious and continue to make mistakes, you continue to suffer, because we create suffering through our own action. And you know what? It's interesting about us. We tend to blame the world around when everything is internal, inside ourselves. We wonder why people are treating us bad, or why all of this is happening to us. But we have to go inward to find answers for that, because reality is a reflection from inside out. Reality reflects what the mind projects and what you think you become.
Oh, so yes.
That's a big statement. So I think that talking about thinking and karma and how to live a fulfilling life, like you said it very well, go inward, try to create that good relationship with yourself, because the first relationship is with you. That's what I talk in my book.
Well, isn't that the hard part? Is loving yourself. Yes. If you can't love yourself, how can anyone else love you? Yeah. And I think as well, as you touched on just there, which is really important stuff, thoughts. We tend to think, some people, that thoughts are not creative. So, it doesn't matter what I think sometimes, but actually it does matter, because you create thought on people that I've interviewed, say on a subatomic level, that's creating reality. You're creating if you went back in time and saw how you got where you got, it was all through a thought. It starts off with a thought and it comes into reality. So choose thoughts that are respectful for yourself as well, and that and don't go into the negativity that you can't do this or can't do that. What is it that you would love to do? Project to yourself, okay, would I love to do this? Okay, let me say in my head, I'll imagine having it, and I'll see what the effect and the after effect of having it feels like in my head. And then if it's what's calling you, go for it.
Absolutely. But it's another thing that I want to talk about, the fact that thoughts are energy, So we are made pretty much of energy. The physical body is made of nothing, We're made of oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon is the only solid element. The rest we're made of nothing. And everything about us is in a form of energy. So whatever you put in the universe becomes your reality. That's why everybody can be successful. Everybody can have a wonderful life and be whatever they want to be. There's no limitation, in life. You can get as far as you want to get. The only problem that's stopping us is our own negative emotion, the limbic brain, because we are so dominated by negative feelings without even acknowledging.
I'm
fear,
ugly,
resentment,
I'm not
anger,
lovable.
hatred. All of those emotions are actually in the field of energy blockages. So talking about, I want a good relationship, how can you have a good relationship if you're blocked by all those negative emotions that are not going to allow you to trust yourself, to believe in anybody, to see yourself succeeding, and attracting and bringing the right person into your life.
That's right, and not caring what other people think as well.
Totally.
Now, we've touched on so many threads here, which is all going to help towards the karma in relationships. It's always going towards it.
That's something that you're pointing towards wonderful thing that I talk in my book about, the fact that the outside influences play such a big role. The outsiders, they come and interfere. So one of the key thing for people who want good relationship is don't listen to the people around yourself telling you who you want to be with, what you want to do with your life. So be a person, grow up, do things for yourself, understand your needs without allowing yourself to be manipulated by anybody else around you who pretends that they do it for love, There's
Yeah.
so much manipulation,
Oh, just a
so
bit.
much control in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, even our own parents tend to control us, believing that they want everything for our own good. But at the end of the day, they don't understand us completely. So you need to know you before knowing anything else and anyone else.
And I think to know you is to be honest to yourself about what is it that you love to do, what is it that you want to pursue in life, what turns you on to want to be in life, because you've got such choices in front of you that it's a beautiful place out there.
Totally. This place is so magic. Life deserves every celebration of it. And you know how we're so perfectly designed. We are not meant to be sick. We're not meant to struggle. We're not meant to do any of this. You know what's dragging us down? Our negative emotion. The moment you start thinking negatively, your adrenaline goes to the roof. All your hormones in the brain messed up. You become depressed and your body starts functioning properly. But you actually are designed to be perfect. Your body is designed beautifully,
Yeah.
What makes us collapse? And you see the young generation, under all kinds of drugs, all kinds of medication, and they claim they are depressed. Why are they depressed? There's no reason of depression. The depression is caused by all these negative emotions. Like people who are depressed, in my opinion, they live in the past. People who are anxious, they live in the future. And people who are at peace, they enjoy the present. They live on the moment, on the now.
Oh, that's so true. People in the past live in that's where they get the depression from, because they want to.
Because they don't see anything. They trap into, oh my God, my boyfriend left me. What am I supposed to do? So, and I'm depressed about whatever has been done to me or whatever happened to me in the past. That's what depression is coming from.
That's, oh God, it's just so true. It's just so true. Oh, we got such great things to get into, and there's so much we're touching on here. Okay. Right. Well, okay. Let's. What are some of the signs, would you say then, that you have negative karma to work on?
Well, exactly like I said, when you go through life and see that, hey, I'm stuck. I've been dating this guy 10 years ago. He dumped me. Okay, 10 years later, I found the guy who I love, he dumps me again. What happened? I never fixed the problem 10 years ago. So it's coming back to me 10 years later. So meaning repetition. Karma is repetition. So if you look at your life and say, well, I can't get the right job. I can't find the right person in my life. I'm miserable. I don't get along with anybody. What is this happening to me? Am I punished? Is karma a bitch punishing me? No. No, karma is not a force of punishment. Karma will never punish anybody. But it's like our own action unresolved grows like weeds. Our own emotions will block us. We block by our own negative feelings. That's why when you have and generate a feeling of good intention and when you are in love, then everything can be healed. Everything. Then all this so-called negative karma vanishes, is gone, because karma is healed, can be healed, and can be reversed. You don't have to live with that the rest of your life. That's completely wrong. You can heal it right now by listening to this show and going back and see, and say, aha, this is what I did wrong. Let me go back and fix it. Let me call my ex-boyfriend and make peace with him, even if it was 20 years ago. Because I don't make peace with what has been done to me, I'm going to create the same situation over and over forever.
That's very interesting. So Does that have to be a physical? Is that done mentally, or is that you're talking about physically contacting them, regardless of whether they're going to reply
I
back
think
or
it's
not?
mental. Sometimes you might not even find the person, you know. If you mentally acknowledge that and do your mental work, you can set yourself free. But you will be amazed, out of 1,000 people, 998 will have issues like this, of not breaking through the blockages and not having that. That's why we don't have soulmate relationship, and we constantly trapped into compromise relationships. Why so many of us?
Oh yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to
Ah,
get into that.
why? For the same reason. You know what I mean? The
Well,
same
yeah,
reason, because we never healed. We get trapped into a specific situation or emotion, and we stayed there all our lives, you know? We didn't know any better.
well, isn't it interesting? I've met and been with what I thought were really strong women. Where I hope I gave them the space to be strong, but they I could never have imagined them being anything but. And then someone comes into their life, changes everything for them, and then they go to a very weak situation where they are completely controlled and dominated.
Totally. Totally. And you will be amazed that you will actually attract the same woman over and over without even realizing. The same typology, the same kind of a situation will continue to manifest until you break that pattern to
What?
bring a total different opposite situation. Because that explains why somebody at the age of 45 has been through 3 divorces or has 2 kids from different marriage and is still miserable, blaming the women being the root of the problem, when the problem is completely inside through an action that has never been acknowledged and resolved.
Yeah, and on the woman's part as well, when they get into
Oh, yeah, totally.
abusive relationships,
But there's a lot of abuse.
controlling relationships, and it's
Yeah.
like, why would anyone want to be in that?
There are toxic relationships. And I've seen people like in a toxic relationship that finally they break through, they divorce and create a new toxic relationship, because they don't know any better. Because it's the manifestation of the same situation that has never been healed. If you're not healed, you know what I mean, the wound will open again. If the wound is not healed,
Yes.
it's going to be another wound, or the same wound will open. So it's as simple as that. Except that people have such a hard time comprehending something that in the end is so simple and is so easy to be done.
Absolutely. Now, just very briefly as well, what you talk about in the book as well, which is a fantastic book. Oh, and by the way, this book was it co-authored with your daughter?
Yeah. My daughter is 20-something-year-old, and I said, let me have the perspective of a younger generation, Not only my generation in the late 50s, but the generation of the people in their 20s.
Yeah.
How do they look at relationship? Is there a generation gap? That's the young generation embrace the whole idea of karma in relationship. And I saw fascinating that my own daughter, she got it. For instance, she was in a relationship that was wrong. And she wanted to prove me wrong when I said this is not really going to work. So 5 years later, she woke up and she said, you know what, I think this guy was in my life in a different time and I had to some payback karma. And when that karma was resolved and I healed it, I was able to move on. And now she has a wonderful guy in her life.
Excellent.
But it took her years of struggling, in a bad relationship in which she didn't want to listen to anybody. She had to do it on her own. She acknowledged that was wrong.
That must have been very difficult for you.
Difficult because it was a toxic relationship, because there are toxic relationship, dysfunctional relationship in which you can be really abused, a relationship that was lacking complete balance and stability. Yeah. And I was just watching it, and as you said, it's difficult as a parent. And then I said, you know what, do you want to work with me on the whole idea? Let's make a book together. And you come up with your experience. I come up with my experience and I create something that people can learn or they can reflect themselves in our lives.
No, you guys have produced a really, really, really good book here. And we could go on for a long time right now, and I know that time's ticking away, and we're barely going to scratch the surface of this book. I know we're not. But let's try to, one thing you talk about as well is the 4 types of relationships. So can we just go through those briefly as well, please?
Yeah. Well, there are 4 because the physical world is made of 4 elements of creation. So the world of the physics has 4 major elements. So I said, let me come up with the major. So I thought that the number 1 group of relationships are transitory, relationships that are just a transition. Let's say you're young, you're in college, you meet somebody. It doesn't mean that person has to be into your life forever. What we do, we try to turn transitory relationship into permanent. And then we struggle because those relationships are just short-lived. They're only meant to be for a short period of time. The majority of us want to turn them into something solid. And when we don't identify the elements of the transitory relationship versus a solid real relationship, then we struggle. So I want people to read very carefully because the book gives tips of why this is a transition. And you will see that the elements of being a transitory are very clearly defined in the book. So don't get trapped in a transitory relationship. Walk away from this when the time is ready. Don't stay there and move on. Then there are karmic relationships, which I said relationships that have something to do with deja vu. Like you see somebody, you have a feeling of knowing that person. Have you ever had something like that? You look at a person and it feels familiar. It feels you have something, it feels a connection.
Very deep sometimes, yeah.
And very powerful. Karmic relationships are very intense because they are brought by the memory of the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind identifies that person. Like we said, in a different life, I saw this person. So I have a connection. There's something there. I need to go for that. But when karma is done and resolved, those relationships end suddenly, abruptly. They just over. Like you had not. I look at my daughter talking about karma, she had a karma. The moment that was done, they don't speak with each other. They don't have anything to do. Like they never met. It's so interesting.
What is that about? Yeah. And that does that come from one or the other, or both partners with a karmic? Is it one or the other that?
It can be. But have you ever had something like this?
Yes. Well, my ex-partner of 5 years, I mean, she won't talk to me anymore. I'm the worst thing in the world in one sense, even though, if we did, it would only be very loving. Do you know what I mean? From my side, and I wish her all the best.
But I want to tell you, if you'll ever try to go back there, you realize there's nothing there anymore.
Oh, no, that's right. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Like you almost look back and say, did we ever had anything, in common? What was that? You're like, you're shocked that you don't feel anything anymore. It just evaporates. It vanishes.
And it's surprising that 2 people who can be so intimate with each other, and then it's just over.
And when it's over, and there's nothing left. Those are karmic relationships. Then majority of relationships on earth are compromised. You'll be amazed that out of 100 relationships, probably 85 are compromised relationships. Why? You settle for each other. You just settle with that person because you share a bank account.
I see it all the time. I see it all the time, and I'm like, you know what? After going through the pain that I've had to go through with past relationships, I've purposely been single for a while now. I am not prepared to get with the wrong person, or prepared to not meet the right person.
Exactly. But you will take you another year and something, and then you will meet somebody younger than you, who lives a different part of the world and back and forth, but this is somebody brunette, gorgeous. You meet somebody, and that will be more the relationship you never had. This is going to be very powerful, but this is going to be more the type of a soulmate relationship you never had. You never had a soulmate relationship. You had some transitory relationship. You had a karmic one, but you tried to go in a compromise, but it didn't really fly. It didn't really work for you. So you went to different types, so that when you read the book, you probably identify some of the things in there
Oh,
If you agree with me.
100%. It's just, wow, what you've just said there is very powerful because that's true. I did have a transitory relationship. She was from Malaysia.
Yeah.
I was from the UK. We met at uni.
You will attract women from other parts of the world without even acknowledging, but pay attention. You will continue to attract. That's called karma. That's called karma.
Well, you
You
know,
bring in something that has happened and will come again to you.
do you know what? I've got to say, you're spot on there. You really are. I've just got to give you that because, but the funny thing is, she's coming back to the UK in a few days' time, all the way from Malaysia, and I'm so very grateful to see her again as friends. Yeah, and that's been really nice that we can have that. Do you know what I mean?
Is this different than the other one that was karmic, that it ended up and it's like completely cut off of your
Yes,
life?
yes, and
The opposite.
yeah, and I've moved back
There's
to my.
room for communication. You're happy to see her, versus the other one. There's no need of seeing, and there's no interest in seeing each other.
No.
So you see the difference of the progression of the way, the impact it made on you. Yeah.
So spot on you are, and it's funny. How did you know about how you right? We've never met before. I just want to give you validation.
I told you I'm very intuitive.
Yeah, you are, yeah. And when you say, oh, you're going to meet someone from abroad, well, the funny thing is, which I didn't tell you, and I've not spoke about this with you, is I'm looking to move either to America or Australia, and and that would fit in.
It is a frame of 2 years frame time in which you're going to do it. So it's right around the corner. I think by May of this coming year, you'll have a much clearer idea where you're moving. Yeah.
Funny you say that because that's exactly what I've been thinking as well. So I've got to give it to you. And I'm not just saying that just to agree with you. I'm generally giving you genuine feedback. Yeah. Very credible. Wow, you've got a gift.
Yeah,
I'll just share
that's
that.
the right word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just share that. So when we go on to because we're all over the place right now. Compromises.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Please don't apologize. It's fantastic.
Transitory to karmic to compromise, which the problem with a compromised relationship is that, at the end you become two strangers. Everybody, is looking for love somewhere else, but you stick with each other, and you might stick with each other for the rest of your life because you want to be in the comfort zone. That person makes you feel comfortable. You got used to it and you don't want to go anywhere, but you're looking for love. And this is the way cheating, betrayal comes in place. You see all the time in compromised relationship, a lot of cheating, a lot of infidelity. And both of them, they might, not be faithful to each other, but they compromise and they end up by being friendly with each other and accept the situation as it is. I've seen a lot of compromised relationship, majority, unfortunately. If you make statistics, the great majority of relationships are compromised. And then the last group, which is the fourth group, which is the most extraordinary relationships, are soulmate, Soulmate, that is your other half, that is a perfect reflection of you, in which you complete the wheel of life, the samsara. The karma is also round. The world is round. Everything is round to move. So you need to fit. If that somebody coming into your life is not a match to complete you, the other half of you, then of course you're not going to last in time. But there are 10 elements of a soulmate. I wrote an article in Huffington Post that had thousands and thousands of shares, all over the globe, and people made videos about this because I define what it is to be with a soulmate. Because relationship with a soulmate is the most intense. It's indestructible. When you found your soulmate, it's you and that person against the world. The rest doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone else says. Is being with a soulmate becomes everything for you. And you just finish each other's sentences, You function mentally, emotionally, telepathically in the same way. You both want the same thing. You can't live without each other. It's an unbreakable connection. And when you see a soulmate, you have the flashes of the past, like memories of the past. I remember I had a soulmate relationship with my husband who passed away of cancer, the one I told you I'm going to meet. It's interesting that my father, at his funeral, he told me the name of my husband that I'm going to meet coming to America. But guess what? My husband died exactly when the man behind my father's grave died, 27 years later. So the coincidences of life. My father gave me a double message. I'm going to meet a man, I'm going to marry him, but one day he will die. That's exactly what happened with my husband. But what I want to say, he was my soulmate. So when I saw him, I saw me and him, another part of the world. I had a flash of memory, you know?
Right.
And I realized, and I couldn't even breathe. It was so intense, both of us. So who marries 3 weeks later? You have to be insane, no? Unless you really feel that, hey, we actually know each other for centuries, so it's okay to marry right away.
I think that's a beautiful thing if you can meet someone, and I mean, I know it's not what everyone does.
Amazing story. It's an amazing story. All my years with my husband, I was the happiest person on earth. And now that I'm without him, I will never find another soulmate. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, you know? Sometimes you never find a soulmate.
Well, I was going to say that as well. Sometimes you can never, and you know what? Life deals us different cards, and I know that we can look into the spiritual side of it and say, well, maybe it's meant to be. But if we just put that to one side from it, and I'm not saying to discard it, but just when we get those sacred relationships, we have to be grateful for what we've got.
Totally.
You know,
'cause it's so beautiful and amazing to have a relationship like this. You are really happy. Then you don't miss anything. People don't understand how significant it is to be with your other half.
And these relationships aren't controlling. They're not obsessive.
No.
They're not. Everything's in balance. You actually met someone where they want you to be your best.
Yeah, exactly. They're real. They're authentic.
Yes, and you can have arguments because every relationship has arguments.
Totally. Yeah.
But but you get to do something called make up and forgive.
Always. There's always making up, because it becomes you become like one soul, you know. That's all, soulmates. It's like you are one entity, one person at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Those beautiful relationships, very rare.
Well, let's just touch on another thing as well.
Settle in life without finding your soulmate. I always suggest people don't just get married for the sake of being with somebody. Don't go into a compromise. Don't give up on finding your soulmate. Never give up, you know.
No, this is true.
That you have the right to believe is there for you.
Yes,
You have to look for.
And
it's so beautiful to miss, you know.
Do you think, because you touched on it before as well, since I'm kind of using your words here, but when you talked about using thoughts to create, how powerful thoughts are. If you in your head try to create the soulmate that you would like to meet with no face in a sense, but just faceless. But
you will meet him.
Yeah,
you will meet him.
Because
I suggest to people, write down, especially now that it's the end of the year and we're starting a new year. Write on a piece of paper, what are your needs? What are you looking for in a person? How do you feel the connection should be? What do you think you'll be attracted to? And try to put your thoughts in motion and manifest that reality. I really think that the physical world is a manifestation of our thoughts, in whichever way possible, individually, family, and globally. The world we are living is a manifestation of the global mind of the planet Earth. That's why I think it's up to us to change the world we are living in, but it's up to us individually to change our love life. We can make it the best possible. We have that ability.
Absolutely. And do you think, doing this book with your daughter, and I'm just going to change it a little bit here, with her being the younger generation as well.
Yeah.
I meet some women and they have open relationships. So they've got a main partner, yet they're very happy to, meet other people and do more as well. What do you think of those open relationships when talking about karma in there as well?
Well, I think that open relationship will continue to be open relationship. You can learn something, probably a little bit superficially, about your own weaknesses. But I don't think an open relationship is taking you too far, If you're in an open relationship, it means you're not ready. It means you know partially what you want, but not fully what you want. And you're still searching. An open relationship is you're still on your quest of finding somebody you haven't found yet, but you don't know what the characteristic of that person should be. So that it means within yourself, you didn't find your own answer. But I don't think open relationships are as intense or as powerful as karmic relationship. They can end tomorrow without no regrets, no looking back, no nothing. They sometimes might not involve a karmic thread because you don't really get too much involved. They're superficial.
Yeah, yeah, and I suppose it's not taking any power away from anyone, because it's still I'm all about empowering women and stuff like that, and it's it's still giving power back to the woman in a sense, because they're both equal. They're both
That's the big thing. It's all about your inner power. Life is about accessing your own power. But when you access your own power, you wanna apply it to find your right trajectory in life. But people who are in open relationship, it means they don't unleash their own power completely because they don't think they're absolutely ready.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. That makes thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get into. We touched on it as well, just in the last bit of conversation when we're on the 4 types of relationship. Obsessive. If you're obsessed by someone, what have you?
Big one.
Yeah.
That's
Now, tell us about that. What you've learned.
I also wrote about this a lot because people are usually obsessed with somebody they can never have. You're obsessed with the person you cannot be. You like your neighbor's husband, you know what I mean? And you know for sure that will never translate into anything. But then you become compulsive. In a way, it applies to people who have tendency to compulsive disorder personality or multiple personality disorder. So I feel like being obsessed, it's almost like a mental disease. It's a mental disorder in my understanding, because it backfires on you. And they start to become compulsive and obsessed with many other things in your life, So people who you see obsessed with a certain activity or a certain game or a certain situation, they can be apply the same typology of obsession in love. So then the book gives people, we can talk for an hour, steps, how to understand your obsession, how to break through the obsession, because you're hurting yourself in the long run.
Well, that's
trying
right.
to do something that will never happen,
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. You're only hurting yourself. That's right, because and where's the self-love in that? There isn't.
There isn't, exactly.
No. And just because I know we've only got a few minutes left here, and I'm so many questions, and I know we're not going to get through them all. But how can you tell whether this relationship that you're in now is going to last? Is that an intuitive feeling?
Yeah, first of all, when you're in a relationship, you need to do a lot of introspection into yourself, in the way you feel, in the way the other person feels. You have to put the relationship to a lot of tests to see whether the relationship survives all the tests. And trust your intuition, because your intuition will tell you this person is or isn't good for you. Now, because I always believe that we are made of energy. Energy converts in a physical world in numbers. And I studied numbers, and I wrote a book on numerology. And I acknowledge that, it's fascinating how certain numbers don't match other numbers. So if you do your numerology and you do the numerology of the person you got involved with, it may be a very clear understanding that there's not a match. There's not a match. I had a woman I talked yesterday night, and she gave me the numbers through an email, and I did the numbers, and I said, honey, this is not a match. She said, it's funny you said that. I call you because I'm on the brink of a divorce. I can't get along with my husband for many years. I said, of course, you'd have called me 15 years ago when you married your husband. I would have said, don't marry this man.
Yeah.
In a second, I would have said that, because it's something that shows very clearly the level of compatibility. And if you're not compatible, and if you're in a bad relationship, the numbers will show it.
There's some power on those numbers, isn't there?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
The world of the physics is based on numbers. That's the language of the universe. And that's why if you take somebody's birth code, you find the level of your energy. And that energy has to match your partner's energy. If it's not a match, forget it. You can try forever. It will never fly. It will never work in your favor. So that's another thing. We can do once a show, just on how you identify, Plus, there's a way to identify a divine code, which is your birthday, with the other person's birthday, and find out whether you had or didn't have past lives, and even know exactly what kind of a past life you had. So there's so many clues, that have been given by the ancient teaching through the concept of number and transmigration of the soul that will lead to a more profound understanding whether you are or are not in a right relationship.
Yeah, that is absolutely fascinating as well. My father always used to tell me. He used to say, "Well, what's been the key to your relationship with my mum?" Because they've always been together, and he's like, "Well, it comes down to communication.
Of course,
if you've got communication, that's one of the key principles in any good relationship."
Absolutely. And my book does talk about all the elements that somebody needs in order to communicate.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely. And when you communicate, you switch off in your mind all that aggressiveness. You switch off all the negativity, so that you translate your needs and your intention verbally in the correct way.
Yes, absolutely. And now, now you do readings as well. That's something that you do. Just tell the audience a bit about the readings that you offer in the private sessions.
So I do all kinds of counseling session. I help people understand the relationship they are in. I help people with their health problems. I help people, manage their businesses, because the mind is a powerful tool to guide people through many. I have my own radio show on WABC radio, 77 AM. It's a huge legendary station in New York. And my show is called the Dr. Carmen Harra Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life. So that's what I do for a living. For many, many years, I guide people through create a miracle in their life by, as I said, using the right thoughts, the right tools of the mind. So this is the kind of work I do. And even, I do sessions on numerology, or session on counseling, of marriage counseling. I used to do marriage counseling for many years in New York. And if people want to reach me, they can find me by going to my website, www.CarmenHarra, Carmen Harra, one word with a double R, CarmenHarra.com. They can send me an email. They can look at all my videos. They can click on my Facebook page, be my friend, the social media thing. And they can see my book, this book, and many other books that I wrote.
Yeah. Well, we've been putting all those books on the screen and your website all throughout. I hate that, there's so many questions I've still got, but just one I'm going to squeeze in here as well.
Yes,
with long distance relationships, so with your work as well, that is something that you found can work if the right people are coming together.
The right people are coming together, absolutely. There are no boundaries. There are no limitation. Nothing is going to stop. And I think that's something that might apply to you. You know what I mean? So if there's somebody that is really meant to be, and it's really that connection, that true, genuine, karmic, soulmate connection, because many relationship karmic can be soulmates in the same time. If that is the case, then, those people will find each other and will be no matter what. Nothing will stop. There's no stopping. There's no stopping a relationship from that.
That's so beautiful. Okay, what would you say then, as the final question, is the most important message of your work?
The most important message is to be in good terms with your own self and with the world around, and create peace and send love, because love is the most healing force. Of the true, authentic, genuine love will heal everything in your life, and then you will be at peace. You will live in the moment. You will celebrate every second. Will create a miracle of your life, and you will definitely find your soulmate, and be, as I said, fulfilled on earth, because we are here to celebrate life and to help the people around, but it comes from within. If you're not okay within yourself, you're not celebrating you, you're not in love with you, don't expect anybody else to love you.
So true. It's so true. Oh, look, seriously, Carmen Harra, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure to have you on, and my final guest of the year. Thank you.
Kevin, I love you. I wish you a fabulous 2016. It's gonna be amazing. I'm making a big prediction. One of the most powerful years you've ever had. Yeah, it's just coming for you. Yeah, it's bringing closure to many things because it's the year 9, brings things to an end to create a new beginning. So you will see that somewhere after the end of the spring, towards summer, fall, things are coming to an end. You'll close those doors, and there's a new beginning as we're entering the fall of this coming year. And then 2017 is even better. So we're moving in the right direction.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That means a lot. I really, really, really do appreciate that. Well, blessings to you, and we'll get you back on the show. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and all the love to your listeners.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.